Hey guys, OG of the HRC here. Welcome back to the OG of the HRC way. Today, I want to talk about poverty in America. And before you swipe this video away or push pause, I promise you, this is the one video on poverty in America that you don't want to miss. So join us. Okay, let's do something a little different today. Close your eyes. Trust me, it'll be worth it. Now I want you to imagine the word poverty right there in the front of your brain. Erase all other thoughts in your mind, sort of a meditative exercise with the word poverty floating around in your mind. Now I want you to imagine the people, the places, and the things that are associated with the word poverty. Now, are you imagining coal country America? Are you imagining Compton, California? Or are you imagining a mixed modge podge of things? Now open your eyes, and I want you to take those ideas, those people, places, and things, take them out of your brain, put them in your hand, and crumble them up, and toss them aside. I want you all to have a clear and open mind before we start this real conversation about poverty in America. You ready? Okay, so wanted to give you guys a quick little backstory here of how we've gotten to poverty in America in 2020. The year is 1964. Lyndon B. Johnson, then president, is giving his yearly State of the Union, and he declares war on poverty.
And this administration today, here and now, declares unconditional war on poverty in America.
Very big statement from any president. He was definitely wanted to be the guy that was the domestic policy president. He had grown up in severe poverty himself, so he wanted to end poverty in America. Great grand idea. He wanted to build what is known as the Great Society.
We have the opportunity to move not only toward the rich society and the powerful society, but upward to the great society.
The society where crime rates are down, where racial injustices are gone, where social injustices are gone, where no child is going to bed hungry. Again, grand, great ideas. Unfortunately, Vietnam War happened.
We're trying to do the reasonable thing to say that power and brute force and aggression is not going to prevail. You can't do this thing by force. Now let's sit down and reason it out, and let's try to allow these people a choice. Now that's what I'm trying so hard to do, and that's what I need your help on.
And all of those grand, great ideas of the Great Society pretty much went down the tube. Lyndon B. Johnson wanted to be known as the domestic policy guy, the guy who could end poverty, the guy who could sign into the Civil Rights Act into law, the guy who can sign the Voting Rights Act into law.
So I ask you to join me in working long hours, nights, and weekends if necessary, to pass this bill.
He wanted to be that guy. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to be that guy. And for me, I believe that was the tipping point in when America and poverty really got friendly. So I could read you guys all my little notes here with my statistics on poverty in America, what it means, all the studies that I read, on and on. I can tell you that 1 in 8 Americans live in poverty. I can tell you that 1/3 of all children live in poverty in America. I can tell you that about 18% of our budget, our federal budget, goes to welfare services here in America. And I can tell you that people are definitely suffering, especially right now. It was proof of how much we are a society of credit, and we are a society of one paycheck away. That became very clear when COVID hit, and people were very, very concerned, and still very concerned on how they were going to make ends meet. So really think about 1 in 8. You take about 8 of your friends and line them up. At least one of them is living in poverty, and you may not even know it, because what does really poverty look like anymore? This much I do know, that these welfare services programs that was implemented under LBJ and Nixon, actually, too. He was a big domestic president before he got really paranoid and, had to resign in disgrace. But when you think about these programs, like the SNAP program, which is food stamps, Medicaid, homeless shelters, things of that nature, many of these programs were implemented in the 60s and the 70s. And unfortunately, with our federal government, once a program is implemented, they sort of throw their hands up and say, okay, we'll write you another check next year, and we just go about our ways.
I want to commend Senator Murray for her amendment. I'm very proud to be a co-sponsor of that, and I strongly support the motion to waive the Budget Act.
Now, in theory, that sounds like it's okay, but when you're dealing with millions and millions and millions of people who are living on welfare or living using food stamps or living, paycheck to paycheck and just need housing assistance, or you're dealing with millions of people here in America, things are going to fall apart at times. Things are going to not run so smoothly as they once did in, the 60s and 70s. So you would think that the federal government would step up and do a internal investigation into these welfare services to decide how they should spend the money, where they should spend their money, especially when they're giving about 18% of the federal budget to these welfare services. They're just basically writing checks, having no idea what they're writing it for. And then conservatives complain about the checks being written, and a lot of liberals complain that it's not enough. But really, if you ask either one of these members of Congress from either side, neither one of them knows really what goes into welfare services, the who, what, where, how.
Who had been saying that? Who said that? Who said that? Who said that?
Now, a lot of our federal programs are that way because, like I said, once they implement a program, they sort of step away. So I just think that the number one answer that everyone should be saying right now is that it's not as simple as throwing money at welfare services, and it's not as simple as cutting back money. If we really want to take on poverty, if we really want to help the American person get to the next level so they don't have to rely on welfare services and they don't have to rely on food stamps and they could breathe a little bit easier at night, I don't think that, like I said, cutting the money or providing more money is the answer. What I think is the answer is very, very simple. So in my life, in my careers, I have had yearly reviews at almost every job I've ever had. And the place of a yearly review, the simple task is to say what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, what I should continue to do, and what I could grow from. That's always like their thing that they say. And then hopefully a raise at the end of all that. But everyone gets yearly reviews. In corporations and small businesses, they do a whole company review, especially during tax season, especially to not only just look at their employees about what's working with them and what's not and their management, but also look at the books to see what financially is working and what's not. So why don't we do that in the federal government? Why don't we ever say something like the SNAP, the food stamp program, which a lot of people over the years has said is being taken advantage of or not being able to reach who it actually needs to be reaching, and just use one of these mighty fancy committees that all these senators are proud to be a part of and examine the SNAP program and see financially what's working, financially what's not working, see employees, management, what's working, what's not working. And then we would be able to implement SNAP to people who really needed SNAP, who were not taking advantage of it, and who desperately need it. That just seems so simple. It seems too obvious and too simple, but I don't understand it.
They say it's not that simple, Vinny.
So what's the truth?
That it is.
Our society has changed so drastically since something like food stamps was created. So drastically in 50 plus years, and it's never been examined detail by detail, book by book. In my opinion, I feel like these federal programs, especially these welfare service programs, which are always so controversial, they should be examined every 4 years or 8 years, depending on when we get a new president. I mean, I don't understand what all of these fancy people in Washington, D.C. do.
I want this budget to be that debate.
While also exceeding what are called budget caps.
We have budget deficits that have improved.
That's why we do have to have a budget deal.
If they're not doing their job to examine where our federal taxpayers' money is going. Because when Congress members aren't able to say where our money is going or why SNAP is giving out this much money, and they know someone who's taking advantage, or they know someone who desperately needs SNAP and can't get it because they don't qualify, or they whatever it is, you get angry people. I don't understand how we can truly take on poverty in this country and truly make sure that these third of children in America who are going to sleep hungry don't have that problem anymore. You know, when Lyndon B. Johnson had the idea of the Great Society, this is not what he meant. Nor do I think that he meant big government overreaching and controlling everything, because like I've said, we're not really that good at running these federal programs. But I think that if he were alive today, he would shake his head. He was a man who grew up in extreme poverty and knew what it was like to go to sleep hungry. And in 2020, the fact that we don't have this figured out better is sort of disgraceful. I asked my Instagram followers if growing up money was tight. 75% of my Instagram followers said yes. Of those, I asked, how old were you when you recognized that money was tight in your household? The average answer was 8 years old. I asked a bunch of teachers on Twitter if they bought snacks specifically because they knew that their students went to bed hungry and didn't eat until the next day when they went to school. 100% out of, I think it ended up being 600 plus teachers who took the poll, 100% said yes. They bought snacks specifically because their students came to school hungry. We do have an issue with poverty. We've always had an issue with poverty. And it's not something that's going to go away by throwing money at it. It's going to go away by the federal government doing its job, standing up, examining, and recognizing some of the old ways no longer work and new ways need to be implemented. Just remember this. Poverty doesn't have one look, one shape, one color, one race. Poverty is all around us. Remember that 1 in 8 Americans are at that poverty line. So maybe try to be a little bit nicer to one another, because you never know what someone's going through. All right, guys, until next time, make sure you check us out on iTunes, Spotify, and of course right here on YouTube. Make sure you push that little subscribe button. And until next time, take care.